Daddy, can you keep it safe this time? What he did next changed everything. The cemetery was quiet in a way that made every sound feel too loud. A crow somewhere in the trees, the soft scrape of wind across winter grass, the faint click of a flagpole rope tapping metal. Ethan Cole stood at the far edge of the row where the ground dipped slightly, where the soil was still darker from recent digging. Not a headstone, not yet. Just a temporary marker laminated paper under a clear plastic sleeve, taped to a wooden stake. Because the real stone wasn't ready. Because some parts of grief take weeks to arrive. The paper read, Lilila, Cole, memorial plot pending confirmity. Oh, you are my home. Ethan didn't look at the words anymore. He looked at the photo in his hands, a framed picture, worn on the corners from being held too many times. Lila on a couch, knees tucked up, messy hair, gap-toothed grin, and that pink star hair clip, crooked above her left eyebrow. The star had a tiny chip on the top point like someone had taken a bite out of it. Ethan's thumb rubbed the glass over that chip again and again. Like if he rubbed hard enough, he could rewind the world. His suit pants were damp at the knees. He was kneeling in the wet grass like it didn't matter. His breath came out in thin clouds. His shoulders shook, but he kept his mouth closed. No speeches, no prayers. Just the steady, quiet work of not falling apart. He leaned forward and pressed his forehead against the cold plastic sleeve. A whisper slipped out, broken. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm sorry." Behind him, slow footsteps approached and stopped at a respectful distance. A woman didn't speak at first. She held 2 paper cups of coffee, lid slightly cracked, steam barely alive. Her jacket was worn at the elbows. Her hair was pulled back fast, practical. Her eyes looked like a person who'd spent weeks moving other people's emergencies ahead of her own. Marissa Reyes, single mom, volunteer. The kind of woman who didn't ask for room, she just made it. Ethan didn't turn. Marissa set 1 coffee cup on the grass beside him, not offering it like a favor, just placing it there like, "Drink, please." "They said you come here every morning," she said softly. Ethan's voice stayed low. "It's the only place that doesn't ask me for anything." Marissa nodded once. Then, carefully, she said, "There's someone asking for you." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'm not doing interviews leading," he muttered. "No," Marissa said, "not like that. It's a kid," she added. "At Riverside Community Center. She won't talk to anyone else." Ethan stared at the marker like it might defend him. "I can't do kids," he said, voice rough. "Not right now." Marissa didn't push. She just glanced down at the grass near the stake. Something white sat tucked against the base, half sheltered by a small clump of frozen leaves. A paper boat. Clean office paper, edges softened from dew. Ethan's breath caught. He hadn't brought it. He hadn't left it. Marissa leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "I didn't put that there," she said. Ethan's hands moved before his mind agreed. He picked up the boat gently, like it might crumble. Inside, written in thick pencil, uneven spacing, 1 backward letter, 4 words. "Daddy, I'm still her." Ethan froze so hard the cold stopped registering. His mouth opened. No sound came. Marissa stepped closer, eyes locked on the handwriting. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "That's my kid's writing." Ethan blinked at her. Marissa swallowed, throat tight. "Mia writes in block letters," she said, almost apologetic, like it was impossible but true. Same weird spacing. Same backward D. Ethan's fingers tightened around the boat until the paper creased. His other hand still held Lila's photo against his chest. That chipped pink star clip staring back at him like an accusation. His phone buzzed in his coat pocket. 1 message, unknown number. "Stop visiting the plot. Come to Riverside Community Center. Bring the whale." Ethan's hand went to his keyring automatically. The blue whale keychain dangled there, scratched and worn. Lila had picked it for him at the aquarium gift shop. "So you don't forget the ocean, Daddy." Marissa watched his hand tremble. "You're shaking," she said quietly. "Sit, breathe, then we go." Ethan swallowed hard, eyes still on the message. "Someone is playing with me," he rasped. Marissa shook her head once firm. "My kid doesn't prank about graves," she said. "And whoever wrote that knows about the whale." Ethan stared at the temporary marker again. Pending confirmation. He hadn't said those words out loud to anyone, but the city had. Paperwork had. A system had. He whispered almost to the ground, "What if the system was wrong?" Marissa didn't promise miracles. She didn't sell hope. She just stood there, steady as a post. "Then we verify," she said. "We don't spiral." Ethan took 1 slow breath, then another. He placed the coffee cup in his hand like a lifeline. He stood, careful, like his legs didn't trust him. He looked down 1 last time. Not at the plot, at the photo, at the chip in the pink star. Then he turned away from the marker and followed Marissa toward the parking lot, toward the loud world, toward an answer. 6 weeks earlier, the rain started like it was testing the city. Then it decided. Downtown, Ethan Cole stood in his corner office on the 42nd floor, watching the river on a weather map turn darker and darker shades of red. The office was a cold kind of perfect. Polished white desk, steel lamp, quiet air that smelled faintly of expensive coffee and printer toner. His assistant's voice came through the speaker. "Sir, the city issued a flash flood warning. They're recommending remote work." Ethan's eyes stayed on the screen. "We're mid-quarter," he said. "Minimal. Controlled." He ended the call and glanced at his phone. A text from his ex-wife, Dana. A photo of Leela at breakfast. Pink star hair clip in her hair. Cereal on her chin. Dana wrote, "She misses you. Call her today." Ethan's thumb hovered over the call button. He stared, and the smallest flinch crossed his jaw, because if he called, he'd have to be present. Not CEO present. Dad present. He turned the phone face down and rubbed the blue whale keychain with his thumb like it could calm him. Outside, the sky turned the color of wet concrete. On the low side of town, Marissa Reyes was moving fast without looking dramatic. Plastic bins, duct tape, a duffel bag. Her duplex wasn't pretty, but it was hers. She opened the kitchen cabinet and checked the paper taped inside. CNA, license test, date, deck 3, a goal, real, quiet. Her daughter Mia sat at the table coloring, tongue slightly out in concentration. Mia was 5, hair always messy, hands always smudged. She drew a house with crooked windows and a bright yellow sun. Even the rain hammered the roof. "Mom," Mia said, not looking up, "is the river mad?" Marissa paused, hands on a towel. "No," she said. "The river's just full." Mia nodded, satisfied. "Then, are we going to float away?" Marissa crouched, voice practical. "We're going to pack," she said. "We're going to be smart, and we're going to listen." Mia's eyes went to her stuffed bunny. "Bunny comes?" she asked. Marissa's mouth twitched. "Bunny comes," she said. "Tiny kindness. Micro payoff." That night, the sirens began. Then the water came. Not like a movie, like a slow takeover. Under the door, through vents, up the floorboards. Marissa shoved documents into a Ziploc bag, grabbed medicine, clothes, Mia's bunny. Mia slipped something into her raincoat pocket. Marissa caught it. "A hair clip?" she asked. Mia nodded. "Found it." Marissa didn't argue. There were bigger fires. They waded out into the street, waist-high water, neighbors yelling. A rescue boat pushing through the current like it was fighting a living thing. Marissa raised her arms, shouting. The boat turned, and a wave slammed them sideways. For half a second, Marissa's fingers lost Mia's wrist. Half a second was enough. Mia went under. Marissa's scream cut through the rain. Then Mia's small hand broke the surface, grabbing a floating cooler. Marissa hauled her up, breath ragged. She pressed her forehead to Mia's. "Stay with me," she whispered. Mia coughed and nodded. "Okay," she rasped. "Micro payoff. She's here." Across town, Ethan's tower went into lockdown. Emergency lights hummed. Elevators died. Phones showed no service. The city below became brown water and blinking streetlights. Detached houses tore loose on the low end and drifted like dark boats. Ethan watched one bump a street sign and rotate slowly. His throat went tight. He dialed Dana. Voicemail, he texted. Undelivered. He tried again. Nothing. He left a message with a voice that didn't sound like him. "Dana, please, just call me back." When the stairwell finally opened, Ethan ran. Through rain that stung, through streets that weren't streets anymore. When he reached his neighborhood, he stopped so hard his shoes slid in mud. His house wasn't damaged. It wasn't flooded. It was gone. A scraped-out patch of broken wood, twisted fence, and floating debris. Ethan stood in the rain and screamed Lila's name until his voice turned raw. No signal, no contact, only the sound of water moving through what used to be a life. And somewhere, in a different part of the city, a pink star hair clip with a tiny chip waited in a child's pocket like a breadcrumb. Nobody understood yet. Mia's plant room was really an upper floor of Ethan's building where a maintenance crew kept office greenery alive. It smelled like wet leaves and dust. It was warmer than the stairwell. Marissa had gotten Mia up there with help from a security guard who kept repeating one sentence like it was a rule that could save them. Higher is safer. Mia crouched by a row of potted plants, water dripping from her raincoat hem. She pulled the hair clip out of her pocket. The pink star, chipped at the tip. "Mom," she whispered, "is this magic?" Marissa didn't answer right away. She watched the water moving in the hallway below. She listened to the buildings groan. Then she said, "Nothing's magic. Just timing." Mia nodded like she understood. She didn't, but she trusted her mom's voice. A door opened farther down the hall. Ethan stepped into view, soaked, eyes hollow, phone dead in his hand. He looked like a man who'd been holding his breath for days. Mia stared at him and blurted, innocent and disarming, "Mister, do you know how to fold a boat?" What he did next changed everything. Marissa stiffened instantly. Protective posture, chin up. Ethan didn't move toward Mia. He stopped where he was, a respectful distance. His voice was minimal. "Where's your mother?" he asked. Marissa stepped into the light. "I'm right here," she said, And we're not looking for trouble. Ethan blinked, then nodded. Neither am I, he said quietly. Mia held up a square of office paper. Boat, she repeated. So it floats. Ethan stared at the paper like it was a foreign language. Then he sat down on the floor, right there, expensive suit and all. Mia's eyes widened. Marissa watched closely. Ethan didn't touch Mia, didn't reach. He just said, awkward but respectful, would it be okay if I try? Marissa hesitated, then nodded once. Mia scooted closer and placed the paper in front of him like a mission. Ethan folded. Crease, fold, crease, not perfect, but careful. Mia whispered instructions like they were sacred. First you make a door, she said. A door, Ethan echoed. So the water can go through, Mia said. Micro payoff, a child teaching control to a man who's lost it. Ethan finished the boat and set it gently on a thin pool of water. It floated, spun slowly. Mia smiled. Small, real. Marissa's shoulders lowered half an inch. Tiny kindness, object callback. Then Mia pointed at Ethan's keyring. Blue whale, whale, she said. Ethan's thumb rubbed it automatically. Mia said, whales don't yell. Ethan's mouth twitched. Sometimes they do, he murmured. But they keep going. Mia nodded, satisfied. Like you. Marissa cleared her throat. Mia, she warned softly, we don't attach. Mia looked up, serious. I'm not hugging him, she said. I'm just talking. Marissa blinked, then quieter. Okay, micro payoff, boundary respected. A radio crackled from a desk down the hall. Riverside High, shelter, reunification desk. Ethan's head snapped up. Riverside High, he stood. We should go, he said. Marissa's eyes narrowed. You don't carry her without asking, she said. Ethan paused, then nodded. Understood. They moved through stairwells, water rising lower down. At one jammed door, Ethan wedged his key into the frame and forced it open. Mia whispered, impressed. Well helped. Ethan exhaled a small laugh. Yeah, he said. He did. Micro payoff. Object return. By the time they reached Riverside High, the gym was packed. Kids on blankets. Parents scanning faces like they were searching for oxygen. Ethan headed toward the reunification desk with his phone up, as if signal might appear out of desperation. Marissa registered Mia with a volunteer. Mia sat at a table and drew a house, then water, then a boat. She pulled the pink star clip out and stared at the chip. Then she clipped it into her hair, crooked. Because it felt like a rule, if it's on you, you're real. Ethan's phone buzzed with a single text from an unknown number. WE recovered a girl. Come to the temp morgue. Ethan's face drained. Marissa saw it and stepped in front of Mia, shielding her from the adult storm. Draw me a sun, Marissa said gently. The temp morgue was a converted classroom with harsh fluorescent lights. The air smelled like disinfectant and wet coats. Ethan walked like his shoes were too heavy. Marissa stayed beside him, not touching, just present. At the door, a volunteer stopped them. Family only. Marissa's voice was calm and firm. I'm here to keep him standing, she said, and to confirm details, not to make a scene. The volunteer hesitated, then nodded. Inside, a staff member flipped a clipboard. Female, approximate age 7, brown hair. Ethan's breath stopped. Marissa asked the question he couldn't. Any identifying items? The staff member turned a page. Backpack recovered near a collapsed property, she said. Small dolphin keychain on the zipper. Pink star hair clip found nearby. Ethan's knees nearly gave. The backpack. The clip. With systems down, someone had matched belongings to a missing report and assumed the worst. The staff member spoke carefully. We don't have... Ethan cut her off with one word. No. Flat. Not angry. Just... refusing reality. Marissa stepped closer, voice low. Ethan, she said. Ethan's hand reached out and touched the dolphin keychain. Slowly. Like touching it might erase it. It didn't. A sound came out of him. Small, cracked. He didn't scream. He didn't punch a wall. He just folded inward, forehead lowering toward the table like he was trying to become invisible. 2 days later, the city held a memorial. Quick. Paperwork fast. Because people needed a place to put their fear. Because grief without a body still demands a chair. Ethan stood beside an empty white casket. He didn't tell the crowd it was empty. He couldn't. The pink star clip was placed inside as a symbol. A priest said gentle words. Ethan heard none of them. He stared at the casket like it was the last door he didn't want to open. When they lowered it, Ethan's fingers dug into the blue whale until the edges hurt. One memory flashed, sharp, restrained. A boy on a foster home porch, looking down a street that never brought anyone back. A social worker saying, no one came this time. Ethan swallowed. One simple sentence slipped out, barely audible. I became someone important, he whispered, and it still didn't bring her back. No monologue, just truth. After the memorial, Ethan began rebuilding like a man trying to pay a debt he couldn't name. Checks, materials, crews. He showed up to flood zones in clean boots that got dirty fast. People called him generous. He didn't correct them. He didn't feel heroic. He just didn't know how to stop moving. And every morning, he went to the memorial plot with the temporary marker, because it was the only place that didn't ask him to be strong. Until today. Until the paper boat. Until Marissa standing beside him saying, "My kid wrote that." Now, at Riverside Community Center, Marissa led Ethan down a hallway that smelled like soup and damp drywall. A space heater hummed. Kids' voices echoed from a room ahead. Ethan slowed at the doorway like the air changed density. Marissa lifted a hand, small boundary. "Breathe," she whispered. Ethan inhaled. Then he heard it, a child's voice. Familiar, simple, not dramatic. "Daddy?" Ethan's hand flew to the whale keychain like it could anchor him. He stepped forward and stopped, because he saw her. A little girl on a folding chair, feet not touching the ground. Wet hair combed back, pale cheeks, a paper cup held with both hands, and on the table beside her, the pink star hair clip, chipped at the tip, the exact chip, no mistaking it. Ethan's throat tightened so hard he could barely speak. "Lila," he said, one word. She looked up, her eyes locked on the blue whale, her lower lip trembled. "Whale," she whispered, and the room went quiet like the world was listening. Ethan didn't run, he didn't grab her, he didn't turn the moment into a performance. He stopped a step away and lowered himself to one knee, palms open. A respectful ask, voice shaking but controlled. "May I? Come closer?" Lila stared at him like she was checking if he was real. Then she nodded once. Ethan moved in slowly and wrapped his arms around her, careful, gentle, like she might disappear if he squeezed too hard. Lila pressed her face into his coat. A small sound escaped her, half sob, half breath. Ethan shut his eyes. His shoulders shook, but he stayed quiet. Because loud grief had stolen enough air already, a rescue worker stood nearby with a clipboard. Her voice was soft, tired. "We found her on a boat," she said. "Systems were down." She kept saying, "I'm Lila. My daddy is Ethan." But we couldn't confirm fast. Ethan pulled back just enough to see Lila's face. "How? How did you end up?" His voice broke. The worker's jaw tightened. "Your neighborhood had multiple collapses," she said. "The backpack and clip were recovered near one. Someone matched the items to the missing person report and assumed the worst." Ethan swallowed hard. He didn't lash out. He just looked down at the blue whale. Then up at Lila. "I'm here," he whispered. Lila blinked hard. Then she said the line that made the reunion earned, not easy. "You didn't call me," she said. Ethan froze. A clean cut. Truth from a child. He nodded once. "You're right," he said. "I didn't." He didn't defend himself. He didn't blame the storm. He only said, "I'm sorry." Lila touched the whale keychain with one finger. "You kept him," she whispered. Ethan's voice was low. "I did," he said. "And I'm keeping you." Marissa stood in the doorway with Mia beside her. Mia held a paper boat like it was a trophy. Mia's eyes widened at Lila. "You're the girl," Mia whispered. Lila looked at Mia, then at the boat. "You made that?" Lila asked. Mia nodded, serious. "So dads don't get stuck," she said. Lila's mouth twitched into the smallest smile. Ethan looked at Marissa, eyes wet but steady. "Thank you," he said. Marissa's face stayed proud, bounded. "I didn't do it for you," she said. "I did it because kids deserve adults who show up." Ethan nodded. "You're right." He took a breath, then made a grounded ask, no grand gesture. "Would it be okay if," he began, "if I help you and Mia with housing for a bit? Not charity, not headlines, just stability." Marissa's posture stiffened on instinct. Then Mia tugged her sleeve and whispered, "Mom, he folds boats." Marissa exhaled slowly. "Neighbor level," she said. Ethan nodded. "Neighbor level," he repeated. Marissa held his gaze a second longer, then nodded once. "Okay," she said. "Repair mutual. Boundaries kept. Help accepted without humiliation." 8 months later, spring warmed the rebuilt block. Fresh lumber, new porches, grass growing back in patches where water had stripped it down to dirt. At Riverside Community Center, a small table sat by the window with a handwritten sign, "Papper, boat, corner, take one, leave one, kids, folded boats." Some messy, some perfect. Lila sat beside Mia, teaching her carefully. "No, like this," Lila said. "Make the door first." Mia nodded, tongue out in concentration. Marissa walked in wearing scrubs now, CNA badge clipped to her pocket. Goal achieved, not given, earned. Ethan stood near the coffee station with sleeves rolled exactly once, folding paper boats from donated printer paper. He still wasn't warm, in a loud way. But he listened more. He asked before he acted. He showed up. Lila walked over, holding the blue whale keychain. She clipped it gently to the front of a paper boat, like she was giving the whale a new job. "Now he can float," she said. Ethan smiled. Small, real. Lila looked up at him and repeated the first line, but now it didn't sound like loss. It sounded like trust. "Daddy, can you keep it safe this time?" Ethan nodded once. voice steady. "I can," he said, "because I'm not leaving. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. And if you want more quiet, hope-filled stories about second chances and the kind of love that shows up when it matters most, you're in the right place."